Hi all and welcome back. You're probably aware that it's been a while since my last session. It's just that the life was very hectic and my schedule was all over the place. But there's no excuses. So here I am. We're back with another short-ish movement session. And as usual, you just need a little bit of space, ideally barefoot, nice and loose clothing to move, hot beverage of choice, I have coffee here, and just curiosity and having open mind to do something good for yourself and for your body, hopefully. Okay, so let us begin. Okay, so today we're gonna start with a little bit of structure and then some play within that structure. We're going to combine some motions of the arms and the upper body and some gentle motions within certain limitations of the lower body. So you're going to assume this stance to begin with. So think about horse stance. You don't need to go super low, but fairly wide with your feet, nice and grounded position of your feet. Try not to go too wide, okay? Too out with your feet. You're going to sink down, maybe not going all the way into the stretch, keeping it still fairly relaxed, but fairly nice and stable axis, okay? Nice and stable center of mass. And then here, while keeping your feet grounded, just going to gently start exploring how and where, how much can you move your hips within this range. Obviously, your knees are going to move, your feet are stuck to the floor, and for now, just focusing on the hips, maybe going a little bit of extension, a little bit of twist, internal rotation, external rotation of the hip. And obviously that drive from the hip is going to result also with movement of the other body parts, okay? And to begin with, let's just start with this. Next one, we're going to start adding motion of the arms. So think about this. So first we're going to keep our feet fairly stable in the same position, but without moving hips too much. So think about hands maybe touching each other or maybe being close to each other, keeping them fairly relaxed. Okay, so fairly relaxed, that's our intention. As we start to draw this circular motion. So circular motion first in one direction, both arms. Following with our eyes and our head, moving the neck. Following the hand and arm position. We're really fixated on our hands. So first one direction. Let's do 10 circles one direction, 10 circles other direction. Let's give it a go. last part in this combination of 3 movements, so hip, grounded, finding the torque, lovely circular soft rotations or circular motions, one then the other direction. The last one is going to be, we're going to sort of revisit our arm rotation, but the intention is going to be different. Rather than keeping arms completely relaxed, so today we're actually going to play with a little bit of tension. So think about keeping your torso fairly rigid. You might move a little bit, but the motion is actually going to start from your shoulders. So think about driving the elbows forward. So driving the elbows forward, and then the arms simply reacting, going back as you go from side to side. Keeping your hands almost like you're sweeping your hands close to your torso, okay? You can play with tempo as you get a hang of it, then gradually increasing the speed. So one more time. So think about if I'm showing one arm, elbow going forward, then wrist as the elbow comes back. So articulating the hand, the whole arm, but keeping it in this vertical alignment, okay? So let's just give it a go. So our next task is going to be to simply combine all these elements together as you wish, when you wish. So if you remember, keeping your feet grounded, exploring, going deeper into the lunge, just remember your feet are stuck to the floor. So you want to reorganize the rest of the body accordingly, okay? So work within any range you have access to, okay? And then as you wish, you can either play with these, or you can straight away transition into a couple of these rotations, maybe making them a little bit smaller as you transition again to the other one, and then again transitioning to the first one. So you can call it dance, you can call it improv, you can just call it movement, just a gentle movement snack. It can feel very soft, but simultaneously, if you push harder, it can feel quite rejuvenating, reinvigorating, okay? So prepare, you're gonna spend some time here, start slow, and then be free to play with the tempo. Ready? And let's give it a go. Let us move on. So our next set of movements is going to be fairly simple, with gradual increasing the range and intensity. So you can keep staying in the same or similar, maybe slightly more narrow position that we just did with the feet, but the intention is the same. So keeping your feet grounded. So this one is going to start including more leaning and more extension within this position. So lots of torque on the knee and the hip, while keeping your feet in the same position, as you sort of keeping your feet pointing forward as you're leaning towards one side. But I'm rushing ahead of myself. So the first one is going to be this. So if you ever practice anything or with any instructors from a fighting monkey background, this is something that you're gonna be familiar with. And the pattern is this. You wanna find the rhythm, or maybe not just focusing with the rhythm, but focusing with the pattern first, which is gonna be this. So as you lift one hand, one arm on the one side, think about other arm is just gently swinging with control. So not just throwing it, keep some control. Top of the hand, reaching top of the hand. And then changing role. From here, this arm is going on the other side, this arm is swinging here. And then just gently start playing with this. We're gonna spend a few moments here just to practice. So our next task is going to be this. So each time as you start, for example, one side and then another side, repeating sort of same height. Now next swing here, the first arm that this other arm needs to reach is going to start going higher. So if I start here from one side, other side, now second one is going to go a little bit higher. And then the second one on the other side, replicating approximately similar height. Maybe doing 2 times each height before you change again, even higher. Notice how I'm already reorganizing my hips so I can twist and my chest is actually facing there rather than here. Well, this is going to then lead eventually, depending on your flexibility level. As you reach towards one side, you're going to reach as far as you can, so it's going to resemble almost a little bit of back bend, arching, diagonal stretch, and so on pattern. But again, build gradually, slowly into it. Okay, so 1, 1, 2, 2, so 2 times each level, each height, then slightly lifting up the level. As you finish in this very high level, high arch, okay? You can slow down as you go higher and higher and deeper into the arch. As you finish with this one, just gradually start to reduce the height again, 2 by 2, 2 by 2, and then gradually going high again. Okay, so hope this is clear. I was practicing this earlier, it felt really interesting, really nice. It does help, my feet are a bit sweaty now. It does help even if you have a little bit of grip in your feet, so they're not sliding too much. Okay, so I'm going to shut up now, and let's just slowly and gradually start with this pattern. Let's give it a go. Okay, so our next set of movements, you're probably already guessing by my stance, again is going to be feet wider position. And I promise this is the last one in this wide semi-horse stance or sumo squat stance. And it's going to include a little bit of spinal flexion, lots of juicy shoulder sequencing. As you go from one movement into the other, rather than having 3 to 4 movements, separate movements, think about connecting them as much as you can seamlessly together. Okay? Think about this. So as you go deep in a horse stance, if you don't know, so think about thighs parallel to the floor, knees out, arched back in this bottom position. So that's going to be sort of our base when we get there. In order to get there, we're going to do this. So think about visualize, almost like pulling yourself, you're holding onto something as you pull yourself down, but simultaneously rounding your back as your elbows are going back, head going as low as you can. Notice how your arms are going into internal rotation, and then lifting up in the horse stance, staying there as your arms are continuing up. Driving, squeezing your shoulders down, elbows down, and back. Staying in the horse stance, internal rotation of the shoulders, external, and then twisting one shoulder in as you're looking towards the other arm, other shoulder in, pushing your hands down as you simultaneously lift yourself up. Beautiful. And then pulling yourself again. So that's the sequence. So let's try one more time before we go into all of them together. So again, starting in this stance, so visualize pulling yourself down, really creating that tension. You don't have weight, but really think about pulling yourself with a rope or weight or something similar. So again, pulling yourself down as your head goes down, rolling your spine, arms internally rotated. As you lift your head up, staying in the horse stance, your arms are simultaneously going up and then reaching down, and then elbows back, keeping the arch, staying in the horse stance, rounded, arms on the side, twisting one shoulder in as you look towards the other one. Don't rush. Other one, pushing, reset. Okay? So let's try to do 5 of these, plus minus. I always tend to forget the count at some point as you get immersed into the movement. I know it's a lot, some coordination in your shoulders required, but I'm sure you'll get it. Okay? So prepare. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, so our next and the last part of today's movement snacks routine is going to be on the floor level and sort of staying in this reverse plank position, this crab position, whatever you want to name it. I hope I'm gonna be able to show you from the right angle. And the main topic here is going to be this. As you're keeping your hands on the floor, Just think about, especially if you have tender wrists, always put more pressure on the heels of your hand, okay? If it's a bit tender. And what we're gonna do here, well, think about keeping your shoulders not super shrugged, not super depressed, so somewhere in between, as the focus is actually gonna be on the legs, on the hip. So let's say my left leg is first gonna do all the work. So I'm gonna have a couple of points. While keeping my right foot on the floor, I can go maybe on my toes or my heel, but it's gonna sort of stay in this position. I'm lifting my left leg off the floor, and then I'm trying to reach as far as I can forward, as I'm stretching, and actually I'm stretching, putting focus on this other leg, stretching my toes and my quad, tapping with the heel forwards, then my toes or my little toe, tapping as far as you can on the side, okay, and then bringing that leg, crossing it here. And what we're gonna do here, now pulling that right knee now towards you. It's almost like you wanna kiss your left knee, really pulling your hip into the stretch here. If it's super intense, you can even sort of stay on the floor and glide on the floor. But keeping your hips off the floor, your center of mass is gonna give you nice stimulus. So again, one more time. So think about slowly heel forwards, back in the middle, heel sideways, or a little toe, as much external rotation as possible, resetting in the middle, and then pulling that hip back, okay? So you're gonna try to do this 5 times each side. So first left leg, then right leg. So again, focus is on the other leg, despite this one being reaching, but then on the second movement, I'm actually trying to really going outwards as much as I can, as I'm keeping my chest fairly upright here, okay? So 5 reps each side. If it's too intense on the wrist, just keep your hips on the floor, but try to sort of challenge yourself. Prepare, and let's go. Excellent work. So there it is. I really hope you enjoyed this set of movements. I personally kind of felt that it was a bit more challenging the last couple of sessions, especially on the hips, which was kind of very much needed. I guess my body needed it after all the traveling when I was going back to Croatia now for a few days, and just working a lot, sitting a lot, cycling a lot simultaneously. So I just kind of needed a bit more tension, a bit more strength there. So that sort of always replicates on the sessions that I'm doing. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope, again, there's not gonna be long wait for the next movement session, but be free to revisit all of these. They are designed for them at least to be practiced for a certain period of time, rather than just doing all the sessions in 1 week. So think about sticking to one session, maybe 2 sessions, and then really digging all the details, refining the movements rather than just completing the reps, okay? And if you sort of stumble upon some new movements along the way, new transitions, be free to incorporate those as well, okay? Because there are so many, I always like to say, there are so many amazing experts out there, mobility, flexibility wise, strength wise. This is why I don't really focus on saying you need to do these drills, you need to do these drills to develop flexibility, to build strength. I do teach that as well, but the older I'm getting, the more I'm keen on actually trying to give people, show them a couple of options, and then you trying to refine your movements, playing within those patterns by yourself, trying to play and sort of discover, staying curious. I hope all that rambling makes sense. Okay? So this is an invitation for you to explore. There is time and place always for sets and reps, but quite often, especially in the morning or especially on certain days in between heavy sessions, it's really nice. It feels really nice to play with some other opposites, end of spectrum, okay? So tension, softness, and anywhere in between, okay? Enough of me talking, so thank you so much. As always, if you like the video, subscribe, share, send feedback, comment. So far it's been amazing, so I really appreciate that. If you want to support the channel, you can always donate without any pressure on the link which I'm gonna put underneath. So enough of me, thank you so much, enjoy the rest of the day. It started raining here in London, so yeah, I'm gonna teach my class in the evening for London Movement Group, and yeah, I shall see you soon. Take care.